Good morning. There is 4 o'clock gym session done. Why 4 o'clock, you ask? Well, I'm usually there at 5 because Lara is in Paris today, which means I need to be home for 6 o'clock at the absolute latest because I need to get Louis sorted. I need to make sure that he's up and about, he's fed before we then go and take Lara to the station. And because she needs to be getting up and getting herself ready, I do the Louis bits and pieces. So that is the 4 a.m. gym session done. Let me just get in the car and make sure that this is all sorted. Early start today, but that's fine. Otherwise, the trouble is the only other option would be to get Louis and stuff sorted, go and drop Lara off, and then go to the gym later, but that eats into the day. And my days at the moment are very busy. This bloke's nearly just crashed into me, flinging it into the car park. The days are pretty full on at the moment. I've got all the blitz plans to be writing and getting sent out this week because they all due to start on Monday. New client on board as well last week to the full-time team. So generally speaking, there is a lot to do. So yeah, 4 o'clock start this morning, push session. Actually had a decent session. Not loads and loads of progress, but a little bit of progress made, which is always nice, especially when things like food and body weight are at their lowest. I do have a high day coming today, which is going to be a bit of a bonus. So yeah, a nice high day of food. Extra 175 grams of carbohydrates get in my system, which I'm looking forward to. It's been, I've been at pretty low calories for a couple of weeks now, so maybe even 3 weeks actually. But generally speaking, things have just been coming down. Cardio's there, steps are fairly high. It's been a test. It's been a good experience in a lot of ways. Lara did pull me up earlier this week and say that I have been a little bit zombie-like for a few days. I am at fairly low levels of body fat now. My energy levels are pretty low. But I think Christian's also recognised that, and given that I'm in a really good spot physique-wise, especially for a photo shoot. And again, I'm probably guilty of trying to push things harder than maybe I need to in some ways. Like a photo shoot isn't getting on stage. A photo shoot doesn't need to be absolutely peeled to the bone, 3, 4, 5% body fat like it does when you get on stage to compete. Photo shoots, you can have a little bit more body fat, and in some ways actually you probably look a bit better with a little bit more body fat. But because it's me and because I want to push myself and I haven't been in front of camera for quite a long time, I've really wanted to make every effort to push as hard as I possibly can. And considering the turnaround time, it hasn't been, it's not like I've given myself 6 months to get ready. I gave myself 15 weeks to lose 25, 30 pounds of body fat. And that is where I'm at, 12 weeks in, 25 pounds down. There really isn't, much more to come off, if anything. The check-in with Christian yesterday, he said, you are more than ready to do a photo shoot. We've got no need to be pushing body fat levels any lower. That's not to say that they won't get lower. That's not to say that the next couple of weeks aren't going to see a little bit more come off. But if I was to step in front of that camera as I am right now, I would look fantastic, and it's a good place to be because it just eases a little bit of stress. It eases a little bit of worry naturally, because it's the way that these things work. I'll go through those little moments where I'm like, oh, am I lean enough? Am I this? Am I that? It's really normal when you get into these stages. And it's another reason why having a coach, having someone external, it makes such a big difference because, we're all guilty of probably pulling out a lot of the flaws in ourselves. We'll look at ourselves and we'll say we don't like this and we don't like that. like well before we'll look at ourselves and say, actually, this looks really good and I'm really happy with where I'm at. And, you know, we're very quick to find the negatives, whereas having someone there who's much more independent, who can actually take a step back and look at you objectively, they can really, really help to just keep your head screwed on. So that's you know, a lot of what you know, a coach is going to do at these stages. Like, you don't want to be getting stressed, you don't want to be getting panicked. And a lot of the time, the coach is there really for that purpose, you know, to keep you calm, to take away any of that worry and panic, to make the right decisions in the right moments. And yeah, so, you know, all of those benefits that come with having that person to be able to do that. So just on the way home now, I will quickly jump in the shower when I get back. Lara should now be up. She'll probably be getting her breakfast. I'll quickly jump in the shower, get a couple of bits sorted, get Louis up, get him sorted, take Lara to the station, get Louis fed when we get back from the station, usually just as his bottle before, then we head out and then I come back and feed him, and then I'll take him to the childminders, and then the day can get going. But yeah, it's getting close now, the photo shoot. It's just less than 3 weeks away. So feeling good, looking forward to the high day today and tomorrow, despite the early starts. And yeah, I'll let you know how these high days go. So another pound down today. New low weigh-ins. I've just done a single arm cable row. Moving on to the T-bar row alternative, because I don't have access to a proper T-bar row. Couple of warm-ups. Let's go. Top set. Good morning. Thursday morning, 5th session on the bounce done, and it was pull. And it was a pretty good session actually. 5 o'clock this morning, not 4 o'clock. Slightly later. We had a decent session, and to be honest, I probably needed it. So I'll get onto that shortly. But after my first high day yesterday, so the high day that gave me an extra 175 grams of carbohydrates that were very, very much welcome. After having that yesterday, my weight actually dropped this morning. It didn't drop by loads, only dropped by about 0.2 of a pound, but it did still drop, which isn't always uncommon, to be brutally honest. So another high day going in today. Let me just get this back on my face again because it's decided to stop working. Here we go. So another high day today, another 175 grams of carbs to go in. And then I've got a couple of rest days coming up because the gym is actually closed tomorrow. It's a public holiday here in France. So the gym is closed, which is partly why I've ended up doing 5 on the bounce, just to get all my sessions in for the week. But yeah, I'll pop like the pictures and the video and stuff up from this morning, so you can just see like the impact that, you know, those additional carbs had overnight. And yeah, as I say, I probably needed that session because I had one of those bloody nightmare moments last night. Just really fucking stupid. And I was so pissed off with myself because basically I went to pick Lara up from the train station as usual. She'd been in the office, she'd been in Paris. Went to pick her up from the train station, and they're doing some road works at the moment on the road that I would normally pick her up from. So I'm having to pick her up from a slightly different location. Not that that in and of itself is a big problem, but what it means is there ends up being like it's like a tiny little sort of pickup point lay-by just next to the train station. It also happens to be next to the new bus station. And as I'm approaching it, like, there's lots of cars going in and out of spaces, in and out of the lay-by, just because it's a pickup point. And it was completely my fault. So as I'd sort of pulled up a little bit, Lara sort of waved me on a little bit. There was a car coming towards me, pulling out of the lay-by in one direction. There was a couple of cars parked up facing the other direction. So I'm just like trying to decide or make my mind up, like, where am I actually going to sort of pull the car in? And Lara's moved a little bit. Anyway, I've ended up just getting a little bit too close to the car that was one of the cars that was parked in the lay-by, and just really, really small little like clip that car as I pulled in. So that car wasn't fully in the lay-by. I can blame them all I want. It was my fault, like they were parked up. So basically we've got like a tiny little scratch on the back wheel arch on the opposite side of the driver. And I'd managed to, the best way I can describe, I basically managed to like unclip the sort of plastic bumper cover that houses the rear parking sensors on their car. I honestly think you'd be able to literally just clip that all back in and it'd be fine. But it being France, you know, not knowing anyone, we sat there trying to exchange insurance details. Neither side's done it before. Thankfully, Lara was there because she was obviously able to deal with the French. I mean, my French is all right, but when it comes to that level of detail and that level of like technical stuff, my French just isn't up to it. So I was getting really like stressed about the fact that I couldn't do that. Louis, I've got him with me, like he's tired by this point because it's getting towards his bath and bedtime. So he's just wanting to like run around and mess around a little bit. But we're right next to a road, we're right next to the bus station. So I'm trying to like occupy him. Lara's trying to deal with the documentation for the insurance. The other side were really nice, but it was slightly intimidating. It was a woman who was driving the car. And then she'd obviously called someone in her family. I think it was her dad. And all of a sudden, like 4 blokes turned up. So Lara and I were just a bit like, what is going on here? You know, and like I say, they were all absolutely fine. Like I don't think any side really knew exactly what needed to be done or documented and stuff. But, you know, both sides were quite helpful in trying to figure out what needed to be done. Anyway, exchanged the details. It took a lot longer than it needed to because trying to find all the information that was needed, people trying to log into different apps to get hold of the information because everything's online these days. So all in all, just a bit of a dampener to end what had actually been really quite a good day for me. You know, all my blitzers are set up. They've got all their plans. They're all super excited to start on Monday. I generally had a good day. I'd had more food. I'd had some great training. Like my physique's looking good. Louis had been like really, really good company before work. And then, you know, when I picked him up, he'd had a great day and he was really good company afterwards. And then it was just this really, like I said, just a silly moment. And that is the best way I can describe it because it just this tiny little like clip of the car just really spoiled my evening. It really got into my head. So anyway, hopefully that is all going to get sorted nice and quickly. We're not 100% sure what is even going to happen now, to be perfectly honest. So we've like submitted the sort of form online via our side. If it was in the UK, it's one of those situations where either both sides would just sort of agree, right, you know, should we just leave insurance out of it? You go and get your car looked at, tell me how much it's going to cost me and I'll just pay for it. Like that's quite commonly what would happen where it's such a minor little thing because involving the insurance companies is just all a bit stupid. But that isn't the situation that appears to be happening here. So they're obviously going to have to sort of assess the damage as much as there is any damage. They're probably going to have to take it, contact their insurance. Their insurance is going to say, right, you need to take it to X garage. That garage is going to quote them. Insurance companies are then going to be talking to each other about, you know, what is going on and the quotes, etc. So who actually knows? The other thing, I'm not completely convinced, but again, it's not really my place to say. Even though it was a younger woman driving the car, I'm fairly certain the details that she's written down on the form aren't actually her details. I'm pretty sure she's written like her husband or her dad's details down in terms of the driver details. So I don't really know where that stands. I don't know in the grand scheme of things how important that's going to be, but yeah, I'm not fully convinced that it was her details. And I suspect that's because I think she was a new driver. So in France, you know when new drivers are new drivers because I think it's a legal obligation that they have to have a little A sign on the car for, I think it's 2 years once you've passed your driving test, and it's essentially to let other road users know that you are a new driver. You might be a bit hesitant, you might be a bit nervous. It's a little bit like the P plates in the UK, for anyone who's aware of what a P plate is, but the P plate in the UK isn't obligatory. It's something that some people will use. You don't see them very often at all, to be completely honest, because I think there's generally a bit of stigma around them just looking like really ridiculous. But if somebody is new to driving and they are a little bit nervous and they just want other road users to be aware of that fact, in the UK you can have a little P sign. And as I say, in France it is actually an obligation to have this A, which stands for apprenti, like learner, new driver. So So yeah, anyway, we'll see what comes of that. And it's just typical that it happens. So the car is also going in for a service this morning, and then it's going to go for its MOT next week. So it's just typical that all of this stuff happens like at that very moment, late in the evening when we're just wanting to get home and get Louis sorted. Yeah, it's anyway, it's done now. I've vented, I've got it off my chest. So hopefully we can just move on, although we won't be fully moved on until we know what's happening with the insurance, etc. But there we go. That is life. There's not a lot you can do now. So let's just try and crack on with the day. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So here we go. We are back. I had planned on doing a video. I can't remember when it was, yesterday. Louis got sick. Louis got sick on Thursday morning, had a temperature, so we had to go and pick him up from the childminders, and then he was sick pretty much all day yesterday, so it was very much a case of just all hands on deck to make sure that he was fine. But what I'm going to pop up for you is a few different videos. So I'm just going to show you where I'm at physique-wise. So I had 2 high days this week. The first high day was an added 175 grams of carbs, and you will have seen that video already of where we were at the day after. Another 175 grams of additional carbs went in the following day, so I'll show you that video. Then I've since had a rest day, and I'm going to show you the updated video there as well. Weight-wise, pretty much no movement. So I went into before the high days, my weight was 155.2. It actually dropped by 0.2 of a pound to 155.0 after the first high day, and then it went back up again to 155.2, and then it's remained at 155.2. So we're pretty much at that point where my body's probably going to hold around about this sort of level. 2 weeks to go now until the shoot itself. Maybe there'll be a little bit of more fat loss to happen, but actually where we're at right now, things are in a pretty good spot. So yeah, it's been a testing couple of days with, like I say, with Louis sort of not being well. Started to feel a bit better this morning. It is Saturday now. Started to feel a little bit better this morning, so we popped into town, did a couple of bits, grabbed something to drink, quick coffee, and then got him home. He has just gone down for a nap, which is why I'm talking not too loudly, because I don't want to wake him up. He's in the room next door. We're hoping he's going to get a nice decent nap in this afternoon, feel much better, and then fingers crossed he's going to be absolutely right as rain tomorrow, because I'll be up at 5 o'clock to go to the gym, and then I'm not sure exactly what we have got planned. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But, you know, hopefully what you can see in these videos is that, you know, there's a bit more fullness maybe with, you know, as the high days went in. Definitely looking leaner as things have gone on. But yeah, I'll be just interested to see what people think of that. So, you know, any comments, let me know. And it's nice as well as a little bit of an experiment. Actually, you know, if we push an extra 350 grams of carbs in across 2 days, what does happen? You know, and actually for me, I'm going to need a little bit more than that, because the weight hasn't really changed. Like, yes, a little bit of extra fullness, but gave me a little boost of energy. But yeah, nice little experiment to be able to go through. And, you know, you can only go through these things when you're ready early. So it's always why I would encourage everyone to get ready as early as possible. You know, try and get yourself in the kind of shape you want to be in a good 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Gives you the opportunity to sort of not take your foot off the gas, but like go into that shoot, whatever it is, it's a show. If you're getting to that point, gives you the opportunity to go into that a little bit fresher, you know, not still digging right up to that point. So, but yeah, hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully Louis going to be feeling back to normal very soon, and life will return to the usual chaos. Good morning. Gym is absolutely dead this morning. There was one guy in here when I first got in here, but he's since gone. Dead city. Just as big a mess as it always is at this time of the morning, but good for me, because I can just crack on and not have to mess around. So legs this morning, I've just done adductors, done my first set of seated leg curls, second set of seated leg curls to go, and then we've got hacks, leg press, leg extensions, calves, and I've also done some abs as well. So yeah, pretty tough old day. Yesterday with Louis kicking off, proper meltdown tantrums. We've never seen that before. Hard work. but he seems to have slept well through the night, so he was still fast asleep when I got up. 5 o'clock this morning. Fingers crossed he's in a better mood when I get home. So that is legs done. Sunday morning, 5 o'clock. Yeah, Sunday morning, 5 o'clock leg sessions are what it's about. I do actually genuinely like them. It's nice to be in there when it is really quiet, and it was at 5 o'clock in the morning. There was one other person. He left fairly soon after I arrived, so I had the whole gym to myself for about half an hour, and then I think the cleaner arrived, and then a couple of other people started to. So there were a few in there by the time I've just left at 7 o'clock, but really not many. Sundays are often like that, and it's like I say, it's just quite a nice way to start the day. It is not very nice outside today though, which is a bit annoying. Yesterday was pretty nice, sunny, probably up into the mid-20s. And then it started raining last night, and it looks like it's been raining pretty much all night long, and it is still raining now. So I don't quite know what the plan is going to be today, because it tends to scupper things a little bit when the weather's not great. So I'm just on my way home. I'll go and see what is going on. I am really, really hoping that Louis feels a lot better this morning. He seemed to be pretty much back to normal yesterday morning. I think I might have mentioned on the last part of the video, like he'd got a fever on Thursday morning, so we had to go and pick him up from the childminders early. Usually we'd have picked him up at 5 o'clock, but we had to go and get him about 10:30. Thursday afternoon, he was just completely and utterly wiped. He napped for about 3.5 hours, which is unheard of for him. Like 2.5 is the absolute max. So he had a really long nap. He still wasn't right. He slept pretty well through the night on Thursday night, but then Friday morning his temperature was, Friday all day, his temperature was up and down. He just didn't know what to do with himself. He wasn't eating a huge amount, but you can't really do a lot. Like, all you're really going to get advised by, the doctors is just survey it, keep dosing them up with it's called Doliprane here. It's like Calpol. If you're UK based, you'll know what Calpol is, I'm sure, if you've got kids. Effectively, it's just like child paracetamol. Bring his temperature down, and then it would shoot back up again. But by the sort of evening, it didn't seem too bad. And then, as I say, yesterday, Saturday morning, he seemed a lot better. There was no fever. He had a really good sleep. He ate well yesterday morning. And then we went into town. We had a nice little stroll around town. We grabbed a coffee, met Lara's mum, did a few bits. He was then starting to get pretty tired. So usually does start to get tired around about lunchtime. So we made our way home, tried to give him a little something to eat, but he wasn't interested just before we left town. He then fell asleep in the car, which again, we try and sort of keep him awake. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? But try and keep him awake until we get home, just because you know what it's like. You're trying your best to keep them there. He did drop off in the car, but usually we can transfer him into bed, and then he'll just carry on sleeping. But that didn't happen either, so we managed to transfer him into bed, and then he was just shuffling around for ages, so we had to get him back up again. He then went down finally at probably 2:30ish, but only had about 45 minutes, and then woke up really not feeling well. And then he had an absolute meltdown for, I thought it was like 10-15 minutes. Lara thinks it was actually closer to like half an hour, 40 minutes, where he was just screaming and crying, and we couldn't console him. I'm literally at the point where I'm like, we might actually have to take him to hospital, like I've never seen him like this. There must be something wrong. He must be in pain. We actually think it was just genuinely the very first like full-on proper tantrum that we'd seen. And I hope there aren't too many more of them, because it is hard to deal with. So he did that, had his meltdown, managed to settle him down a bit. He had a little bit of something to eat, not a huge amount again. And then we got him in the bath, and then he had another meltdown getting out of the bath. So yesterday was just not a huge amount of fun. There were lots of tears, lots of tantrums. It was pretty full on yesterday. So as I say, I've literally just pulled up at home. So fingers crossed, it's going to be a better day today. Good morning, people. It is Monday morning, bright and early. I've been at the gym at 4 o'clock this morning. Another day where Lara's in the office. So I think I mentioned before, when she does go into the office, if I want to go to the gym, it means I need to be at the gym for 4, back for 5:30, 5:45 to get sorted, get ready, get Louis up, get everyone out of the house to drop her off, then get home, then get Louis fed, then get him to the childminders for 8 o'clock. So 4 o'clock, arms and delts has been done, and feeling good. I'm going to pop a little picture up for you that I took at the gym this morning, where I'm feeling very good indeed, which is a nice feeling. So check in what happened tomorrow, but we're in a decent spot. Like, this week has been one of those where not masses of movement when it comes to like numbers on the scales. So it's sort of not unexpected. I've pretty much remained in the 155s all week. There's been a little bit of fluctuation. I started the week at 155.8. I've ended the week at 155.6. We got down as low as the 155 dead. And then there's been a few days in there at 155.2 as well. So the average 155.4 down from 156.3. So about a pound down on average. But as I say, really not massive movement from start to end of week. But I feel good, I'm definitely the leanest I've been, dare I say ever? Might actually be the leanest I've been ever, just training in the gym this morning, even though my food is low, even though, I haven't got lots of carbs and stuff pumping around my system, like I could see a huge amount going on. I felt pretty pumped. And that's a pretty awesome feeling, especially at this stage. There's 2 weeks to go now until the photo shoot. Very, very excited for these next 2 weeks. Things are still pretty low at the moment. We're keeping things at that relatively low baseline. Next week, as we get closer and closer to the shoot, I'm sure we're going to start to manipulate things a little bit. I don't expect it to be crazy manipulations. I think that's something where, truthfully, I think a lot of people can get it very, very wrong. They start to play around too much with fluid, with salt, with, eating crazy foods that they haven't touched for the entire time they've been dieting, and then wonder why their digestion goes to shit. It'll be relatively controlled, but it will be making sure that, the best look is brought, which is the main thing. So as I say, I'll update you again tomorrow once Christian has come back to me. So I'll send him my check-in tomorrow morning, along with pictures. And then we shall, we'll see what he comes back with, and I will keep you posted on that. But hope everyone's had a good one. Hope you've had a really, really nice weekend. I know for a lot of people, particularly if you're in the UK watching this, you'll have had the 3-day weekend. Hope it's been a good one. Not the typical washout that bank holidays often are. Hope you've been able to enjoy it, make the most of some sunshine, and we'll touch base again tomorrow. Good morning. I have checked in. I haven't yet heard back from Christian because it's still particularly early. It's just about 5:30 in the morning in England. It's just about 6:30, 20 to 7 in the morning for me. On my way home from this morning's 5 a.m. back and hamstring session. Really, really good session. Although I very nearly didn't actually get into the gym because the gym, as usual, has introduced another rule that they haven't actually properly explained to people. So I got there 5 o'clock, scanned my QR code as normal, and this was absolutely fine yesterday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way. So got there, scanned my QR code, which is usually meant to allow access. You walk through the turnstile and in you go. Did that, nothing, blank. You can't get in at this moment. Tried it a few times, same message came up, you can't get in at this moment. Fortunately, there was another guy in there who he sees me every morning. Not another gym user, not a member of staff, because the staff don't actually start until 6 o'clock during the week. So this very kind other gym user came over and said that apparently they've introduced this rule now where you have to book your slot. So basically, you have to reserve a place if you're wanting to go in unmanned hours. So because more often than not I go in unmanned hours, apparently what I have to do every single day is reserve a slot. And in some ways, I guess it makes sense what they're trying to do. I suppose what they're trying to do is understand who is in there when there's no staff in there. So maybe there's an element of sort of health and safety type thought process. But as usual with that gym, they roll out a new rule and they don't actually tell anybody that they've made the changes. And it doesn't work properly anyway, because even the people that will come in at like 6, half 6, just as I was leaving, when the gym is staffed, so the member of staff arrives, as I say, about 6 o'clock in the morning during the week, that apparently that situation isn't supposed to happen, and the reservation thing is only supposed to happen for unmanned hours, but nobody could get access. So yeah, usual case with that gym at the moment, where they just can't really get a huge amount right. But it is what it is. I'm just now coming home, 20 to 7, quarter to 7 in the morning. I don't think anyone will be awake yet, so I'll just get everything sorted so that everyone wakes up and all be ready, and we can make a start in the day. And hopefully, well, I know he will, Christian will be back to me soon. We'll find out what's going on, because we had a new low on the scales this morning. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. Now we have the reply. The reply from Christian has come back, and pretty much just business as usual, which is not unexpected at this stage. You know, the look is good. Actually dropped like over £1 overnight. So I was 155.6 yesterday, 154.4 this morning. So dropped over £1 overnight, even though everything's been staying the same. This is something that I often talk to clients about, the nature of like the fluctuations that will happen from day to day. It's also why it's quite an interesting experiment that, again, I often do with clients. Like if someone comes to me and they've only ever jumped on the scales like once a week, maybe once every other week, once a month even, I quite like people to jump on the scales every day for a week, because you will see those fluctuations happen, you know, and often what that helps us to do is look at weekly averages rather than just those individual dailies. We can obviously take those individual dailies and then we can look at what's happened that day and we can maybe analyze and assess. But, you know, overall, most of the time we're looking at the average trending in the right direction. So, you know, while sometimes it's nice to see the big drops, equally, you can get, you know, too emotionally attached to the jumps up as well. And so just keeping that level playing field, looking at the averages often is a much more useful way of doing things. But I'll pop the pictures up so you can have a little look through those. Like I say, pretty much business as usual for this next week. We then travel back to the UK so next Thursday. It's Tuesday when I'm recording this. It will be released on Wednesday. We travel back to the UK on Thursday next week. A little bit of traveling around to do, and then my shoot is 2 weeks today. Pretty much 2 weeks today, almost to the hour. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here, and my shoot is at 10 o'clock in the morning. So pretty much two weeks to the hour, and I shall be in front of that camera. But as you'll see from the pictures, things are looking really good. Like we're in a great spot. You know, this is as lean as I've been for a very long time. I think I mentioned in one of the earlier sections of this, potentially the leanest I've ever been, and I'm a good few pounds heavier than the last time I stepped in front of the camera. So it's always a nice sign to be heavier, leaner, really good sign that we've added some muscle. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense. I hope everyone's had a really good week so far. It's turned rather wet and miserable here, which is a bit frustrating. So still trying to get outside and doing my steps as much as possible, but I'm not really one for the rain. So there might be a few days where the walk pad makes a little bit of an appearance, but hopefully I'll find some gaps in the rain. Have a really good one. I'll be back again next week with the 1 week out update. And yeah, hope everyone's keeping well, enjoying these. Like, you know, I've taken you obviously right through the process from the very beginning of starting shoot prep, you know, to where we are now, 13 weeks in, 2 weeks to go. And yeah, that shoot's going to be good. I'm genuinely really looking forward to it. You know, the past week or two has been hard. Like the energy levels have definitely dipped, but I know it's all going to be worth it. And yeah, I'm excited to get there. So let's make it happen. Likes, subscribes, shares, all of that good stuff would be very much appreciated indeed. And I'll see you again next week.